Welcome on today's conversation on the future of work, where AI isn't just a buzzword, but a business driver. This is Lenovo Work Reborn, live in Orlando. Welcome back, David, to our podcast.
Yes, thank you. I know. It's been a few times that we've done it.
A few times. We've gotten so much amazing feedback this time around. We are recapping the end of our time here in Orlando.
Yes.
Happiest place on earth is where we're at to do this
Right,
podcast.
exactly right. And that's what it seems like everybody is. And, how can you not smile being around, Mickey Mouse and everyone?
Right. We've gotten some fantastic conversations this time around. We've really gotten deep with our
We have.
CIOs. I would love to hear your perspective on that. Like, what do you feel has been an outcome of this event, and what are we hearing from our leaders?
Yeah. So I think this event has been, one of the better ones. It's not that the other ones haven't been good, but I think the conversations have been really deep here. We've had a high number of C-suite individuals that we've been able to connect and talk to and get their perspective on, AI and the workplace and, how is that impacting, what they're doing. And I think it's been really good. The conversations I've noticed have been 15, 20 minutes, right? Versus, kind of that 5-minute quick conversation. And I think that that's just beneficial because, folks are excited about what workplace transformation comes. We had one gentleman that I overheard you ask, what did Work Reborn mean to him?
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, Work Reborn is the perfect title for this study because of the transformation that we're going to have to undertake to build that employee experience and the infrastructure we have and how we're going to be more productive. And so that really resonated with him and others that are here, but that was just one in particular that I remember hearing, from standing and watching.
I also agree with you. It is due to the depth of this report that I feel we have gotten deeper conversations.
I think so.
From our research, we weren't just saying AI is a thing.
Right.
We were saying AI is here.
Yes.
What are we doing about it? And not just from a high level standpoint, but in different industries, in different capacities, whether it's sustainability, whether it's employees, whether it's security.
Right.
I think everyone here is focused on what is it that we need to do to ensure that we are doing this correctly. And I think that positions Lenovo to be a prime potential partner to be spearheading that for these companies.
I completely agree with you. I think that those conversations have been really good. And I think it really, helps to raise the awareness for Lenovo, right?
Right.
That, yes, we are a hardware company. That's what we're known for, right? We're the number one PC manufacturer in the world with the largest market share. But we're much more than that. We are a solutions and services company, and building that awareness, having these conversations, on the podcast or on the booth, I think really helps to open the eyes of, these companies, right? That Lenovo is much more of that end-to-end technology provider, right? It's not just a laptop or a data center side of things. That, we are at the forefront of really adapting and changing how people work and how they can be productive and giving them some insights that maybe they didn't think of. And then, folks that have been reading and downloading the report are sharing it out with their network, and they have really liked the research, the insights, the steps that we're recommending that needs to take, and hearing from their peers, right? So I think it's been phenomenal because it's a way that we can connect with them. And I always say, without trying to sell a widget, right? Right.
To go deeper than that, yeah. Like, I don't think it's just about the leaders liking their report. I think they're craving that data.
I think they are.
I think they're needing it in order for their C-suite leaders within their team to be able to make the decisions that are needed.
Yes.
There is a lot of noise out there, and finding a partner that is able to sift through that noise and lead the way is crucial.
Yeah.
Because the flip side of it is fear and not implementing.
Yeah.
And that is not going to be the way that these companies need to move forward.
I would agree. We had a CIO that was on set with us, and she did not sit down for the podcast because she was part of a local government, right? So she had some restrictions that she couldn't be on this.
Yeah.
But we talked a lot about the report and the findings because she feels that they are really far behind in their AI journey and what they're doing for the employees. and she didn't know, really where to begin or what other people was doing. And then she needed to be able to convince her leadership and her executive team, this is what we have to do. We can't just, look at ADA compliance. That's not the only thing we do. We need to adapt and we need to change, how we are approaching the workforce. And so, she looked at these reports and she was like, this is fantastic, right? This is the type of data, this is the type of information that I need to be able to go to our support or our leadership team as well to convince them, to show them, here is where we need to be in our journey and how far behind we are potentially. So you're exactly right. Or even though she couldn't be on the podcast, we were able to have that conversation with her, right, to help her understand and give her that ammunition that she needs for her employees.
For me, a takeaway was that Work Reborn is actually starting to make sense to people.
Yes.
And I'd say that tongue in cheek a little bit because the first show that we did, people really weren't sure what we meant when we said that.
Right.
But the fact that it is making sense for me proves that we are in a renaissance at this time.
Yeah.
When technology is changing, it's moving. We talked off camera about, the .com boom, with when faxing and when caller ID came a thing, there was a big buzz around like, well, what is going to happen next? I think we're in that next new buzz, and people do need to consider that there will be repercussions if they don't consider their steps and they just kind of dive into the buzz. Like history does really repeat itself in a way.
It really does, right? And if they don't take those, active steps to address it in the right manner, right, the employees are going to jump ship and you're going to lose that top talent. And then you're going to fall behind as a company. And that wastes your time, effort, and money as well. So it really does take that planning. And I think that the Work Reborn studies are really resonating with the folks, when they do it.
So talk to me about the next one, David. What do we got? What's the next topic of the report that we're doing?
Yeah. So, the next,
AI?
Right. So the next report's going to come out December 2nd, 3rd, 4th, right? So in that time frame. And it's going to be around the invisible IT, change management, invisible IT. So what does it mean to have that seamless, side of things? What does it mean that everything works in the background, right? So it's not something that, I have to worry about as the employee, and what are the steps that the companies have to take? And then we're doing, I don't want to call it Work Reborn 2.0, but we're doing more Work Reborn reports next year.
Yeah.
So come around that April time frame, and then October, we'll publish a couple of more reports. For the one that's coming up in April, we're going to interview 6,000 employees on what is it that they need to be productive in the workplace. How are they seeing, the change with AI that's bringing? What is it that they need to be productive, to be happy, to reach their sustainability goals? What are their views on the security side of things and concern? So I'm really looking forward to that survey because that's a much broader base, and that is getting right at the heart of what the employers need. It's their employees that they're talking to. So so this study is going to be good. We're going to kick that off here in the next several weeks, and we'll have the results published in that April-ish time frame, I think, is what we're targeting. So I'm excited for that one.
Talk to us a little bit, as we round out this conversation, where people will hear and see us next. What's the next conference location?
So we're going to be in Barcelona. So that's right. So we'll be at the Gartner IT Symposium there in Barcelona, and we'll have our podcast there. And so you and your team will be hosting everything. So really looking forward to hearing the conversations there. So unfortunately, I cannot attend Barcelona. I'm disappointed, but I will be on some much needed vacation. So that'll be
good for you.
Good.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
Yes.
Awesome.
So,
but
we're looking forward to it.
Thank you so much for your insights, David, and all the work that you're doing to really spearhead with your team this initiative, this very important data. And I'm really looking forward to what's to come. And if anyone is, again, interested in learning more about the Work Reborn report, where can they go, David?
They can click on the link in the description, or they can scan the QR code that'll be somewhere over in this area, maybe over on, beside Rita. But then, make sure you do follow us on the podcast because we post everything to YouTube on the Lenovo Work Reborn channel, but then also Spotify, Apple, and Amazon podcasts. So follow and subscribe to,
Yes.
hear what your peers are saying for what, Work Reborn means to them.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure,
My pleasure.
David.
Yes.
That
Thank
wraps it
you.
up for this episode. Thank you
All
so
right.
much, everyone. Thanks for joining us live in Orlando for this amazing episode of Work Reborn. I've been your host, Rita Risha, and it's been a pleasure to bring you insightful conversations from around the world, especially at this event, on how we are bringing new life to the modern workplace. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to stay tuned on more ways that we are doing just that, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe our channel and download a copy of the Work Reborn report today.
Lenovo.